Hi, I'm Linda Cashan, owner of both Casciano Coffee Bar and Sweetery and Kitchen 19 in downtown Hamilton, and you are watching South Jersey Business with Joe Molyneux.
Welcome to South Jersey Business with Joe Molyneux. Thank you for joining us as we share information, tips, and techniques that can make our business community and your business more successful. Thank you to Stockton University for the opportunity to produce this show focusing on business in South Jersey. On today's program, we will talk with Linda Cashan, owner of both Casciano Coffee Bar and Sweetery and Kitchen 19. Linda will share portions of her story of success and entrepreneurial journey, as well as her experience in opening, owning, and operating two businesses in Hamilton, New Jersey. I have known Linda since she started Casciano and have watched as she built a brand and a business that has weathered the competition and helped create a community coffee culture in downtown Hamilton. Linda believes in the power of working together. This belief may have been a catalyst for her starting Kitchen 19, a unique kitchen that is open to the community for experience and education. She also supports and serves to create a stronger business community in her town and our region. Stay tuned for our conversation with Linda Cashan, owner of Casciano Coffee Bar and Sweetery and Kitchen 19, both based in downtown Hamilton, as we enjoy some solid business talk and more on South Jersey Business with Joe Molyneux. Welcome back to Business. Thanks for joining South Jersey Business with me, Joe Molyneux. Please welcome our guest, Linda Cashan, owner of two Hamilton-based businesses, Casciano Coffee Bar and Sweetery and Kitchen 19. Linda, thanks for joining us here on South Jersey Business.
You're very welcome.
Well, I'd like you to take us back to the beginning of your entrepreneurial journey. Can you talk a little bit about that, please?
Well, we're celebrating our 10th anniversary this year, and we just celebrated it. And I started my business sort of in the opposite way than normal. I bought a building first, and that because I wanted to help with the revitalization of our downtown by being a property owner that would do the right thing with the property. And I thought I would find a tenant that I thought was suitable for our business district, and decided I think I could do it. I wanted to do it. So I said, what do we need? You have to fill a need when you start a business. And our need at the time was a place to hang out, a place to be centralized, a place for people to meet and greet. What better way to do that than with coffee? We did not have a special coffee house at that time, chain or otherwise. So I thought this was the right business for our downtown. And that's why I started Casciano Coffee Bar in downtown Hamilton.
That's a great story.
It's backwards, yeah.
I love the way you framed it, and you fit something in for the need of the community. You did an analysis, you saw what you needed. But that begs another question. You talked about the big franchise brand names and all that. In a world that has plenty of coffee options today, how do you keep people coming back to Casciano?
Well, an interesting thing happened, which my customers love to talk about all the time. They still bring it up 10 years later, is that when I decided to do Casciano Coffee Bar in our downtown, I signed myself up for the coffee trade show, learned coffee 101, and I found out that Starbucks had just signed up in Hamilton. So, people said, do you still want to open your own shop? And I said, well, they did all the demographics, so I must be making the right decision that they're coming here, so am I. So I let them open first. So they opened a month before me, so that everybody would get the latte shock from them and not from me. And they were gone in 1 year, and I'm still here 10 years later.
That is a great entrepreneurial
And of course,
story.
it was at a time when Starbucks closed 600 stores across the country.
Right,
so they
there's-
had decided to do a business thing where they took everything out that wasn't at their perfect level that they wanted it to be.
Right.
And Hamilton's
So a little bit of luck, but a lot of hard work.
It was.
Well, I'm a big fan of your menu. I think it's a very eclectic mix of what you have, but there's a process, I'm sure, that you go through to decide what stays on the menu and what doesn't make the menu. Can you talk a little bit about that process of how you decide what stays and what goes?
Well, are you talking drinks or food?
We can talk about both.
Right.
But your drinks,
Our drinks are pretty much the same because everybody likes a certain variety of drinks, and we, have that variety for them. But of course, we like to have special drinks that bring people in to try something new. And one thing that has stayed stable is my coffee bean that I use from my same supplier, again, for 10 years plus. And that's because it is a consistent flavor. My customers are used to it. And I think it's interesting in the coffee world. I mean, people love my coffee. I do have a superior coffee. There's no doubt about it. But coffee becomes the taste that you have. It becomes a habit. That taste becomes a habit. So once they get used to your flavor, it's hard for them to like something else. So it's sort of a way to get your customers with you for a long time, because you have the same taste every time they come in and they're used to that taste. So that's something important with coffee. But as far as the food end, the cafe end, that's something that I'm very proud of, that we have developed such a long list of things that people like, because we not only have the sweet things that go with coffee, the sweetery part, but we also have lunch and cafe items that people get and are happy with, and we keep evolving that to be things that are more and more healthy, because healthy is really a big market right now. People want to eat healthy, and we have things that make them happy, whether it be just a smaller version of something. We have a lot of half sandwiches, half bagels, which they are appreciative of, but even things that are gluten-free, vegan, dairy-free. We have a lot of products that meet those healthy needs that people want.
That's perfect, and we're going to talk more about products later in the show, but I want to thank you for what you've already shared, and sit tight because we're not done with you yet.
Okay.
We'll be right back with more business talk with Linda Cascian, owner of Casciano Coffee Bar and Sweetery and Kitchen 19. We're back with Linda Cascian, owner of both Casciano Coffee Bar and Sweetery and Kitchen 19. Linda, thanks for joining us on the show.
You're welcome.
How do you define success?
Success in business, especially in the retail business, I guess, is just having happy customers and employees that feel empowered, and I guess, makes me happy every day when I come into work that everybody seems to appreciate my business.
Combining happiness with success, that's,
Right.
that's a really good answer.
Right.
You owned Casciano's Coffee Bar and Sweetery for about 10 years, but 5 years into that ownership, you opened something called Kitchen 19. Can you tell us a little bit about the concept behind Kitchen 19?
Sure. Well, we wanted to have a better food product, truthfully, that we had more control over the quality and how it came out. And a full kitchen became available around the corner from me, literally across my parking lot, that had been a restaurant, had been fixed as a restaurant, and no one was using it at the time. So I said, I want that, because now I had a full kitchen to prepare the food that I wanted to sell at Casciano Coffee Bar. So it became available. I finally talked the landlord into letting me have it, and because we now had that kitchen with a beautiful space and beautiful extra area beyond the kitchen, I thought of what else we could do with it. So now we have what I call a culinary center, because we not only prepare food, but we also have cooking classes. We do catering from there, both for my current customers, my corporate customers that just wanted more food options, but also for off-site catering as well. Yeah. So the Kitchen 19 now provides a lot of different venues for for things that I like to do in the town.
Well, two things strike me. One, talk about getting the most out of a location. That's number one. But also, I think I've seen the word on your website and I visited the space, and you do create an experience for people.
We do.
Speaking of experience, you manage not one but two. You own two businesses and you have employees in both. How do you set the tone? What sort of tone do you want to set for your customers' experience, and how do you get that point across to your employees to treat the customer like you believe they need to be treated?
Well, something's a very big topic right now for retail is experiential.
Oh, yeah.
So we've been doing that for 10 years. I mean, we don't really have to compete with, so to speak, Amazon as a regular retailer does, because obviously you can't order your coffee and have it delivered by UPS. But we do want to create more of an experience than, say, a grab-and-go fast food operation.
Sure.
You know, I'm sure you can imagine the different ones that I'm speaking of. So you might get your coffee there quicker and cheaper, but you do not get an experience when you walk in the door. When you walk in our door, our baristas know your name, they know your drink, how you like it, what your grandchild's name is, where you're going to college, are you taking your your classes now to get into business school. We really know everything about you. So it's a whole experience that when you come in that you cannot get at a place that's not, geared toward that like we are.
You're not only setting the tone for your business, but I like to think Hamilton is a town like that, and I think
Hamilton
you're
is a
really,
town like
I think
that.
you're really setting the tone for the town. One last question in this segment: you're a business owner and a barista. What's your favorite beverage?
We have a lot of fancy drinks, but my favorite is dark black coffee.
I love it. Thank you so much. That was Linda Cashan, owner of Casciano Coffee Bar and Sweetery and Kitchen 19, both located in Hamilton, New Jersey. We'll be right back with more South Jersey Business. As you are aware, management, marketing, money, and media are the essential parts of any business. And when you are owning and operating your own coffee bar, as well as a unique kitchen experience for the community, you need to know how to mix up all 4 M's. So it's time for the M4 Big Money question. All right, Linda, let's break them down. Can you talk a little bit, specifically as it relates to Casciano, your management style?
Well, I like to tell my employees to watch what I do with the customers. Emulate me. You'll see that I never have a problem with anything that my customer wants. The customer's always right. So if you just follow that, I tell my employees, you'll be handling the customers the way I want. And as far as managing my employees, I feel that I like to give them some sort of autonomy in how they operate within the business, because truthfully, my customers relate to them almost better than they relate to me, and they sort of know, they have a pulse on what people want. So I feel like even though if they're part-time, they're sort of the boss of the moment, if you know what I mean. So I like my employees to feel that they are in charge of their own shift and in charge of making the customers happy. And that's basically how I run management of my employees.
It's a great way to manage. You have Casciano for 10 years, so we'll focus a little bit on that. Traditional forms of marketing you've used, I've seen it out there, but
Sure.
What are some of the go-to marketing efforts you've used to help attract people to Casciano?
Well, we have been very faithful to our print ad over the years, again, because we like to support our local print ad venue that we have, which is the local newspaper. And in our town, everybody reads the local newspaper. So that is it's a tried and proven way for us to get our message out. A new product, a new line of things, a special event that we're having, it works well with that print ad. But if you want to stay in business these days, you have to be in the whole social media.
Yeah, we're going to cover that under media, so hold on to
Okay,
that
I'll hold on
answer.
for media. So
we get to the third M, money. Let's talk about that. We can talk about both businesses that you run. I'm sure you have a view on it.
Obviously, everybody's most unfavorite part of business. Certainly my most unfavorite part, but you just keep going. You have to worry about, paying all your bills, so that's number one. And, a line of credit is something that you need in business because different seasons are different volumes of business. And for example, with my Kitchen 19 business, we do mostly catering that brings the income in. And so they're a bigger ticket item than they are with the coffee business. So they're two totally separate type of businesses. One's a small ticket item that I need a lot of people for, and one's a large ticket item that needs less people, but you have to plan bigger inventory for that particular item to be a sale. So money is always, you have to watch it every day. Let's put it that way.
I love it. That's a great
You
way
have
to
to watch
wrap
it every day.
that part of that question up so quickly. How important, you started to say this, how important is the social media to both businesses today?
It's critical. It's
Yeah.
critical. It really is.
And clearly you're doing it right,
And we
though.
need the young people to help with that. And that's why I have a whole staff of young people that are good at it and keep up with it with me.
You're doing a great job on the social media, so keep that up. That's
Thank you.
awesome. Thank you for sharing your M4 Big Money question. There you have it. Owner of Casciano Coffee Bar and Sweetery and Kitchen 19, Linda Cashan's perfect blend of success in management, marketing, money, and media. Welcome back. On today's business drill, we will stick with today's theme of coffee and discuss a few lessons we can learn from the industry. Here is Brewing Coffee-Inspired Ideas. Today's guest reminded me that to be successful in the business of serving coffee, you need to consider creating new offerings and ideas to keep your customers engaged. Here are a few tips and strategies. Source good resources. When it comes to sourcing coffee beans, there are a few steps to consider. Research the bean's origin, build some relationships with the people that have good beans, sample the beans, and then acquire the beans. And then, of course, try them. When it comes to the idea development, this strategy is good. Research your idea, then see if it is original or unique. Share it within some trusted relationships. Sample or test it, then try it out. Consider blending and roasting. Sometimes coffee beans and other types of beans are blended. A raw bean needs to be roasted to be made into coffee. Coffee beans can be blended, just as an original idea may need to be combined with another idea or concept. If you need to turn up the heat to make the idea better or more usable, then roast away. Let it percolate. I am no expert in coffee. However, I do know that percolating the coffee is an important part to the process. If time allows and you feel your new ideas will be better for it, then let it percolate. Serve hot or cold. There are at least two ways, having been served coffee, both hot and cold. Not to mention the varying degrees of temperature based on how much cream I add. Your ideas, based on the circumstances you find yourself in, may be better served up quickly or hot, while other ideas may be better served slowly or cold. Don't forget that based on customer reaction, you do have the potential ability to analyze and adjust your offering as needed. So let's take a moment to review today's drill. Number 1, source good resources. Number 2, consider blending and roasting. Number 3, let it percolate. And number 4, serve hot or cold. So there you have it. 4 quick tips, strategies, and some things to consider when brewing over new ideas inspired by the coffee industry to help you create tasty business ideas for this week's business drill. Having a good community conscience is an important part of building solid business relationships in the region where your customers, friends, and families live. Making a real difference through giving can be part of making a living in business. Here's how this week's guest gets involved to make our communities and region stronger. Kelly, many of the businesses we meet have a strong community connection, and I would definitely put you in that category. I understand you've done a lot of work with an education foundation.
I have, Joe. The beauty of having 2 children go through a school system is you're always asked to be treasurer. It's been a great experience. I do live in Linwood, and I was treasurer of the Linwood Education Foundation for 12 years, I believe, even before my kids were there. Great organization, and I met so many great people, and I love being a part of that.
You know, I mentioned in the opening, my wife and I met you through a volunteer opportunity, and that was the volunteer opportunity that we had the privilege
It's
of
true, and
meeting you
we've
through.
we made so much money for the kids, and things that aren't in the budget.
Yeah, raising money for youth activities and youth education is so important. But that work continued for you as your children
It did.
grew, so did your work, correct?
As my youngest graduated 8th grade, I was like, I'm done. But I'm not. Now I am the treasurer of the Mainland Regional Education Foundation, which is a very similar organization, except it's at the high school level. And I've met some great people there too, and I love what we're doing for the school.
It's very interesting because you're right, it's a similar organization, but it seems like the needs sort of change for the children, right, based on the competitiveness of the district as well as the age of the school and things like that, correct?
It does, and MREF has two main problems. It does the after prom. It's responsible for the after prom, and also a community accounts program when we actually come together and we decide who in the community has made a difference, who's the community difference maker.
We should actually pause for a minute and think about the work that has been done in the after prom. I mean, it's such an important time of year for young people to celebrate that they're moving on to the next level, but also it keeps them contained on a night when a lot of times young people might make other decisions and go other places. So
And as you know, the after prom at Mainland is more attended than the actual prom itself.
Yeah.
Which is an amazing statistic.
Yeah, the people that put that on should be applauded, and I know I've spent some time volunteering there, and I know you do as well.
Yes, I'm there to
Yeah.
5 a.m., yes.
Yeah, it's a long time. Your newest volunteer opportunity is something I know is very close to your heart. You're with the Alcove Center for Grieving Children. Can you talk a little bit about what the work they do and then your role there?
Sure. It's something that I've thought about being involved with the Alcove for a long time, but again, I'm busy, but the time seemed right with LEF wrapping up, and I decided that is where I would like to spend my volunteer hours. The Alcove Center works with grieving families, and honestly, my neighborhood itself has been touched by tragedy, and the Alcove Center has come in and helped those families, and I just decided it was a good fit for me. And again, it's a new position for me. I've only been there a year, but it's just what they've done for the community is just phenomenal. I'm proud to be part of it.
Well, a couple things there. I know you're making a difference because I've watched you make a difference, and I think the lesson that can be learned here is when people are busy, they seem to always still find time to give back to their community. I want to thank you for doing that, and keep doing what you're doing because it's definitely working.
Oh, thanks, Joe.
That was certified public accountant Kelly Batts. We'll be right back with more South Jersey Business. Allie, what type of services and products do you offer to your students?
At Grace and Glory Yoga and at the Leadership Studio, we offer primarily yoga classes, so memberships, class packages, things like that. So it keeps people in their practice every day if they'd like, or as a supplemental practice to their gym membership or to their CrossFit membership, all of those types of things. So we have classes all day long every day, starting at 5:30 in the morning until 9 o'clock at night. And then we also offer meditation classes, different various types of yoga classes. And then our, I guess what I would say is our principal offering that we have is our teacher leader development programs. So for anyone that's interested in studying their yoga more seriously or taking a deeper look at their yoga, then we have things like our 200-hour teacher training program, our 500-hour teacher training program, mentoring programs, and then an additional product that we offer is that everyone really loves our community that's a part of it, and so we have things like yoga apparel and Grace and Glory Yoga branded items.
It's great because you do see them out there. I like it a lot. You talked a lot about the services and the products, of course, but can we talk a little about who makes up your base of students, the age groups, the demographics? Who are you reaching?
It's so interesting, and I had mentioned earlier that there's not really a rhyme or reason, and we're of the belief that yoga is for everyone, and that's really what we see, especially in our Northfield and Philly and the Atlantic City studio, is that we see people of all ages, all backgrounds, all different body histories, and it's something that we really pride ourselves on.
Well, we talked about the what, and we talked about the who. Let's talk about the how. How do you do this? I mean, you're one lady with a good team around you, but how do you maintain what you've been doing? This growth has been great. The business is successful. People love it. How do you do it?
In yoga, we call it drishti, or what you would call focus. Is that every day that we wake up and There's the Zen philosophy of chop wood, carry water. It's like every day you wake up and you do the thing that you know to do. And the next day you wake up and you do it again.
I love it. Repetition. That's good. And quality behind it. The why. That's always my favorite part of this question. Why do you do what you do? What inspires you to continue to do this?
The philosophy that we offer people is really a shift in paradigm. It's a way of thinking in beyond their circumstances or the things that hold them back in their life. And that's the why. Like when I see someone that gets free of all those things that they feel either that they can't do or they can't take the risk in their life or have a rewarding relationship or anything like that, like that's really the thing that gets me out of bed in the morning is I'm excited to support people in getting free in their life.
That's amazing. I do have one more follow-up question. I've been meaning to ask this question the whole segment. What is the single most greatest thing that you enjoy in working with the people you work with and teaching yoga?
The people, period.
Well, listen, I want to thank you for joining us today and sharing a little bit of the spotlight.
Yeah, thank you, Joe.
That was Ali Nunzi, founder and CEO of Grace and Glory Yoga. We'll be right back with more South Jersey Business. The crew here at South Jersey Business appreciates those of you that tune into the show each week. From time to time, we receive questions from our viewers, and we always do our best to respond to your inquiries. So it's time for Q&A. And here's this week's question. Dear South Jersey Business, there is talk of a nationally branded franchise planning to come to our area that will compete directly with me. Do you have any suggestions on how to prepare for the increased national competition at my local level? I have been asked this question many times over my career. So many people worry about a national or established franchise locating near them with the fear that their business will suffer. That is a real concern. If a business does suffer after another business moves in, it perpetuates the idea that it will happen all the time. The key to successfully weathering something like this, or actually growing more successful when facing competition, is something you have more control of than you think. You need to understand exactly what the new competitor offers and how they offer it. By understanding their basic business model, you can identify what they don't do by knowing what they will do to serve their potential customers. Armed with this knowledge, you can focus on what you do compared to what they do not do, or even adjust your offering with new services that they may find difficult to provide. The same holds true on products they may sell. Unless absolutely necessary, or if something is a staple to your product offering, try to avoid selling those identical items as the national competitor, especially since their buying power and potential to offer lower prices may attract some of your business away. And don't forget to tout the unique offerings and services you have provided and will continue to provide your loyal customers. I hope that helps answer your question. We'll be right back. Well, that's the show. We had an informative discussion with Linda Kashan, owner of Casciano Coffee Bar and Sweetery and Kitchen 19 in downtown Hamilton, New Jersey. We answered a question and even learned a few ways to create coffee industry-inspired ideas to increase business during our business drill. Once again, thank you to Stockton University and everyone that makes this program possible. Let's do it again next week. And until then, let's get growing, South Jersey. Thanks for watching.